worked for an organization. When I sold that business, we had the opportunity to go, we're done. And my wife looked at me and said, I don't want you hanging around the house for the next 15 years, and told me to get out and do some work. So we launched a coaching business called Sherlaw's. We're massive, massive fans of KPI. Coaching and having coaches in my business in the early days was what saved me. I knew how to build a product, but I had no idea how to run a business. So we're going to run you through some ideas of how we work with entrepreneurs. We now work with entrepreneurs specifically around this whole product thing. What I'd like you to write down, would you please, is V equals P times D. V equals P times D. And we'll come back to that formula in a moment. How many of you are in business today? Perfect. How many of you have worked out when you would like to sell your business? Okay, so you're in for good. I remember my favorite radio story was a gentleman being interviewed on TV, and he said, at 36, I had a word with my accountant to see if I could sell the business, and the accountant said, probably not. He said, so I had another meeting with him this year to see if I could sell my business, and the accountant said, probably not. And the radio announcer said, and how old are you now? He said, I'm 71. At that time, I was 36, and I went, no way, Jose. I'm not going to be doing this at 71. So those of you that haven't worked out when you want to sell your business, start with the end in mind. At some point, you're going to create a value. Does that make sense? There's going to be value in your business. And what we believe is income follows asset. And the assets in today's world are IP-based and product and skill set and know-how. So we spend a lot of time working with you on really understanding what your asset was. Now, back when I was running my packaging business, it's an interesting little business, real low entry, barrier to entry, get some machines, work out how to cut a piece of cardboard into a shape, sell it to somebody who wants a piece of shaped cardboard. It wasn't a complicated business. But the more complicated we started to get in our design criteria, the more people came to me and said, everybody else has said they can't do this, they've told me to come to you. We understand you know how to do this. Now, did I get paid for designing boxes, or did I get paid for know-how? No, you're wrong. What I did was I gave my know-how away, the same as everybody else in the industry, because I had this big factory full of people and machines. So we did all this fantastic design work, blew their socks off, in the hope that they would give us the work to fill our factory. That's pretty much how the industry works. And I got sick and tired of designing stuff for people with two genius designers that used to work for me back then, and I started my life as a packaging designer, who would then take my design up the road and give it to somebody who'd make it cheap. Everybody else in the industry was giving it away for nothing, so I started to charge for it. I had no theory, I'd done no mathematical calculation, no research. I just got sick and tired of people walking off for nothing, and one day I just snapped and said, that's going to cost you 1,500 quid. And the guy went, okay. I went, geez, that was hard. That was my market research. Sure enough, that guy went away, brought that design back. Now, if you paid 1,500 quid for a design, who would you like to make it? The people that designed it, or somebody up the road? So as soon as I started doing the design and charging for it, people came to me and they said, oh, you're the only people we know that charge for it. You must be really good. We were the same as everybody else. We were just a lot more expensive. Like, as in a lot more expensive. Now, at one time, my design department was making more money than my factory. So the intellectual property in my business was know-how. It wasn't making boxes, if you like. Then I took that know-how out to my clients and started to help them work out how did they get that message out to market. So when we're working with you on the product day, we spend a lot of time pulling that IP out of your head. So what that formula stands for, by the way, is when you come to sell your business, you ask an accountant or somebody who wants to buy it how much your business is worth, and they'll tell you this phrase: valuation equals profit times depends. Everybody happy with that? No. So you'd really like a formula, wouldn't you? So let me give you the average formula. Average formula in the UK is businesses sell for 4 times EBIT. That's profit in the normal entrepreneur's small end of town. So 4 times your profit. So 2 numbers I want you to write down. Please write down the number that you would like to have as a cash lump sum that would make you okay to walk away and never work again. Just write down the number. So everybody written a number down. Whether you'd sell or not is irrelevant, because the most valuable business makes the most money. That's the first thing, okay? So now please write down your current profit. So now please times the profit that you wrote down by 4 and see if it equals the first number. And anybody that it does, thanks for coming. Have a nice life. You're done. So now what we need to do, therefore, is start to work out what's the formula. Because wouldn't it be useful to have the formula? Like if it didn't depend, like if you had the formula and you understood where product's at, that's why I'm passionate about product, that's why I'm passionate about IP. I can tell you 90% of the valuation of what you will sell one day is in that intellectual property. So here's the formula. So income follows asset. So there's your formula. And if you start off with every business as a 4 times benchmark, let me just quickly run you through what those are. First thing you need to be able to get 1 times your benchmark is a database and some clients. If you've got some clients and they're okay and they're doing a bit of work with you, the next thing that somebody will want is a systematic approach to ensure that those clients stay on. So what you're typically going to have is good staff. Now that's staff that are sellable, locked in, interested, exciting, motivated, etc. And what you need is a systemized approach of attracting great people, holding great people, keeping great people. A number of times I've heard this, if we didn't have any bloody clients and we didn't have any bloody staff, this would be a perfect business. So then you need systems and processes in your business. We've seen up to 30 times. When you get down to scale, I've seen up to 30 times benchmark, but I've also seen as little as 1.8 times. But if you calculate at least 2 times, 3 times, keep on going eventually. Where's product sit? 6 times benchmark, not 6 times EBIT. What would you pay for the Coca-Cola formula? What would you pay for Velcro? What would you pay for the IP or the intellectual property or the code that designed Facebook? Do you understand how important product is? So now times 4 by 6, then times your profit this year by 24, and tell me if any of you got close to the number. Got that? Everybody happy with that? Now building distribution, position, brand. Here's the only oh dear with that. Every single one of those layers is an and. You have to do number 1, and number 2, and number 3, and number 4. Fantastic brand, crap system, crap product, crap people. That's a technical term, by the way. Crap. And they won't believe in the brand. So if you have a product, and what we help you do is unpack that product. What's sitting inside your heads, what's sitting inside your knowledge, your know-how. I have never had anybody yet not walk up to me and say, oh my God, I didn't know I knew that. Now, once you've got product 1 sold to distribution 1, that's called my product into a channel of one sort or another, then the logical next step is to start looking for other channels or other products. Does that make sense? So one of the geniuses that did this was Disney. So what was Disney's first product? It's actually authors. It was publishing authors, but most people won't know that. But the first product was who? Mickey Mouse. So what was their second product? Minnie Mouse, yeah. So what was that? So cartoon characters, films, cartoons was their first product. What was their second product?
Theme parks.
Theme parks. Do you know how long it took him to get theme parks up? 430 banks he spoke to said, do you want to start a theme park in a swamp? Let me think for a minute. Nah, sorry. 430 banks said no to Disney. So you have to be persistent. You have to keep going. What's Disney's latest product? Ships. So the latest thing is ships, cruises. Now, if you'd gone cartoon characters, cruises, most people would have gone, what? So, but if you look at that, that's not a logical next step for cartoons. But the IP that they took was family and fun. Now, if you go up one level, and I get a lot of people on the product day to really get out of the weeds with their product and step up one level to me and go, what's the big picture? What are we really trying to solve in the world? And how could we take that intent and that passion and that you love to do back into a product ecosystem and design something that you can take logically next steps, or sometimes even illogical next steps? But how do I start to develop that next step? Now, of course, what happens here, by the way, is if you take product 1 into a distribution channel, and then you get a really happy client base, and then you sell them product 2, and they're quite happy with that, and it's as good as product 1. Then you sell them product 3, and then product 4. By the time you come back to sell them product 5, what are they saying? Yeah, a lot of them are saying, oh, you again. Oh, what now? Like, you'll eventually exhaust the client base. Does that make sense? So if you're able to think really, really, really cleverly, what you'll get is product 2 sells to an entirely new distribution channel that could also buy product 1, and product 1 would sell to distribution 2, and that's what starts to create that 1 + 1 = 3. That's what gets you the channel tick on the valuation model, when you are really, really good at product extension and channel extension. That gets you V3, V4, and V5. Is this making sense? Now, if you applied V5 to that number, V5 was getting up to 20 times, would that start to make a difference then in your retirement date? If you get all of that right, you've seen the numbers, double, treble, quadruple, 10 times uplift in income. If your product has value and your client has a need, trust me, you don't actually need to sell. What you need to do is get out of your own way and not sell. So the course I always run with people is the art of selling without selling. It's the art of explaining, it's the art of articulating, it's the art of leaving people the space to buy. Now, if your product ecosystem is designed in such a way that leads people on that solution journey, as opposed to come and buy my product, you will charge 10 times as much, you will get client engagement. It's a science. And it's solution selling, not product selling. So most of you think you've got a product, you're going to come on my product day, and the first thing I'm going to teach you to do is not to sell product. Design product, but let's solve problems with it. Does that make sense?